Even though Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew are not married anymore, they are still connected in a very strange way. A writer named Andrew Loney says that they stay together because they both have a lot of trouble with money. They both seem to want money very badly, and they have made some bad choices to get it. Sarah, who people call Fergie, sent emails to a very bad man named Jeffrey Epstein. In these emails, she asked him to lend her money. She even said she was on his team, which is a shocking thing to say because he was a sex offender. This shows just how much money Sarah and Andrew owed him. They were in deep debt to him. Sarah Ferguson has had money problems for a long time. This is not a new story, but the stories about how she spent her money are hard to believe. They are shocking even for a royal person. She bought teddy bears that cost £515 each. That is a huge amount of money for a stuffed animal. She once went on a trip with 50 suitcases full of shopping. She ordered giant feasts of food that looked like they were for a king, even though there were not that many people eating. She even tried to make money with a business in the desert that mined Bitcoin, which is a type of digital money. That business failed completely. Sarah used to be the Duchess of York, and she is the ex-wife of Andrew. For many years, she has spent her time chasing after money and power. She wants to be important. She's very charming and loves to talk to people. But behind her smile, there is a sad history. It is a history of being greedy and making mistakes. It is a history of being very messy with money. Now, it seems like all those mistakes are finally catching up with her. We need to look closely at how her spending ruined her good name. Her scandal with the Bitcoin business might be the most embarrassing thing she has ever done. Before Sarah Ferguson had diamonds and people taking her picture, her life was very normal. It was even humble. She has told people that she used to work as a cleaner. She scrubbed toilets to make them shine. She also worked as a waitress in a cafe serving food to tables. She was just like a regular person. Then her life turned into a fairy tale. In 1986, she married Prince Andrew. In just one night, she became a princess. Her title was Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of York. Well, it sounded amazing. The people who know the secrets of the royal family say that her happy ending had a big problem. Sarah was delusional. That means she believed things that were not true. Like many people looking from the outside, she thought that marrying a prince meant she would have unlimited money forever. She thought she could buy whatever she wanted, but she was wrong. She did not realize that the York family was actually always short on cash. The royal family does not just give away money for big shopping trips. Trouble started very soon after the wedding. Sarah went on a trip to New York. When she flew back home, she sat in first class. But she didn't just have 1 or 2 bags. She had more than 50 pieces of luggage. That is a mountain of bags. Because she had so many, the airport charged her a fine. The fine was almost £1,000. Back in the late 1980s, that was a gigantic amount of money. Inside those 50 suitcases were things she had bought. She had spent about £33,000 on shopping. One of the things inside was a teddy bear that cost £515. The people working at the airport were shocked. They had never seen anything like it. One worker joked that even famous movie stars didn't have that much luggage. The helpers at the palace were horrified. They were very upset. The palace refused to tell anyone who paid the fine for her bags. But this event was just a hint of the crazy spending that was going to happen later. People say that Sarah and Jeffrey Epstein stopped being friends, but it is hard to know the truth. Some people believe she owed him a lot of money. One expert thinks she owed him about £2 million. That is a massive number. Both Sarah and Epstein like to deal with huge amounts of money, not small amounts. 2 different people who know the story have said the debt was $2 million. This fits with her history. She often showed up for trips with 25 suitcases or more. She would spend thousands of pounds just on the fees for extra bags at the airport. Sometimes, she would pack entire giant trunks just to carry her coat hangers. Inside the palace walls, the staff described her spending as extreme. One person who used to work for her said that greed and wastefulness were the reasons she fell down. Every single night, she demanded a huge dinner. She wanted a whole side of beef, a leg of lamb, and a whole chicken. It was laid out on the table like a feast from hundreds of years ago, but she could not eat all of that. It was a waste. Her spending every year was almost £1 million. She spent huge amounts on gifts, flowers, and parties. She liked to surround herself with fancy things. She hired personal trainers to help her exercise. She hired hairdressers to do her hair. She hired teachers for Pilates. These people would wait for hours while she slept late into the afternoon. She paid them hundreds of pounds just to wait for her. A royal expert named Jenny Bond explained it simply. She said Sarah did not understand money at all. She was hopeless with it, but at the same time, she always wanted more and more of it. By the early 1990s, her debts were out of control. She owed £4 million to a very fancy bank called Coutts. When her marriage ended in 1996, her money situation got even worse. But even after the divorce, she refused to live a smaller life. Instead, she leaned on Andrew. She needed him for money and emotional support long after they broke up. A writer named Tina Brown said they had a bad relationship where they relied on each other too much. Andrew would give her money when she was in trouble. Sarah would defend Andrew when he got in trouble. But this could not last forever. When King Charles took away Andrew's titles and told them to leave their big house, the royal lodge, the safety net disappeared. Sarah's fancy lifestyle began to fall apart. Just when people thought Sarah might finally learn to be careful with money, she jumped into another risky business. This time, it was in the world of cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is like digital money on the computer. In 2019, a company called Pegasus Group Holdings announced a huge plan. They wanted to build a solar-powered center in the Nevada desert to make Bitcoin. They said it would cost £3 billion. They called this project the Hive. They hired Sarah Ferguson to be the face of their brand. Sarah made a statement. She said the leaders of the company were visionaries, which means they had great ideas for the future. She said she was proud to join their adventure. The deal paid her £200,000. They also promised her a bonus of over £1 million if the project worked. But the project never worked. It was a disaster. The company collapsed. There were lawsuits, which means people took them to court. People accused the company of fraud, which means lying to steal money. They were accused of using the money from investors for themselves instead of building the business. They did not build a single data center. By 2023, a court ordered the company to pay $2.5 million in damages. By 2024, there were new lawsuits saying the company never planned to run a real business at all. Once again, Sarah Ferguson's name was connected to a financial disaster. It was another example of her making bad choices and trusting the wrong people. This wasn't her only business failure. She also sold a very expensive house in London called a townhouse. She bought it for a lot of money but sold it for much less just 3 years later. She lost money on the sale. Her helper said it was an investment for her daughters, but experts saw a pattern. She spent too much, made bad investments, and tried to use her royal connections to get money. Critics say that even without her official title, she tries to use the glamour of the royal family to get people to give her money. But this trick is starting to backfire and go wrong. Today, it looks like Sarah Ferguson's empire of spending has finally fallen down. The woman who used to order giant banquets now has to face the consequences of being reckless with money for her whole life. She has lost her royal home. The ways she used to make money are gone. Her reputation is being looked at closely again. One person who knows the royals said she was a spendthrift, which means someone who wastes money. She was married to a man who was cheap and had less money than she thought. She never really recovered from learning that reality. For many years, Sarah has been her own worst enemy. Every time it looked like she might fix her reputation, she would stumble and fall back into chaos. She has tried many strange business ideas. She sold diet plans. She wrote self-help books. She even sold tea and candles. At one point, she was selling a product that claimed to give energy to your soul. Another time, she was selling weight loss programs, but she admitted in interviews that she didn't even follow the rules of the program herself. Critics said she didn't care about the products. She just wanted the profit. She would put her name on anything if they paid her. A writer once joked that Fergie would put her name on a refrigerator magnet if the check was good. Then came a very famous scandal. Hidden cameras caught her trying to sell access to Prince Andrew. She told a fake businessman that if he gave her £500,000, she would introduce him to the prince. She was filmed saying, "That opens up everything you would ever wish for." When this video came out on the news, it went viral all over the world. Sarah tried to explain. She said she was desperate and had been drinking. She went on Oprah Winfrey's show and cried to apologize. But for the royal family, the damage was done. It looked terrible for a duchess to be selling meetings with the queen's son for cash. It destroyed the little bit of trust people had left in her. Even after all that, Sarah seemed addicted to being famous. She has admitted that she loves the thrill of fame. She once said that attention felt like oxygen to her. She chased after it all the time. She went on red carpets, reality TV shows, and talk shows. Behind her happy smile, insiders say she was always insecure. She was always comparing herself to Princess Diana. Diana was loved by everyone, even after she died, but the newspapers were rarely nice to Fergie. When she tried to write books for children or stories about her life, critics said she was just using her royal connection to make money again. She often says she is misunderstood, but people close to her say she is impulsive. One minute she is charming, and the next minute she is impossible. Her love for luxury never went away. Even when she said she was broke, she would show up at fancy parties wearing expensive clothes with famous friends. Experts say her pattern is clear. She charms rich people, gets a deal, ruins it, and then tries to change her image. Recently, she has been talking about surviving cancer. Many people admire her strength, but others wonder if she is using her pain to get good publicity again. The biggest question hanging over Sarah is about money. How does she afford her expensive life? After years of debt and failed businesses, she still lives in luxury. In an interview, a man asked her if she took a bag of cash worth $40,000. Sarah admitted she did. She said, "Absolutely, yes." She took the money, got in the car, and then returned it after the scandal broke. She got angry at the interviewer for trying to trick her. Some people say that rich friends still give her money to keep her afloat. Others think she's planning to write a new book that tells all the royal secrets for a lot of money. If we look at history, Sarah Ferguson is not done yet. Every time people think she is finished, she finds a way to get attention again. She does it through scandal or by being bold. But now she has lost the royal lodge. Her deals are drying up. Her reputation is in trouble. This time, her comeback might not work. A former royal helper said that Sarah's true love was never Andrew. Her true love was the fancy lifestyle, and she will do almost anything to keep it. Was Sarah just unlucky, or did she ruin her own life? From shopping sprees to failed crypto schemes, it is clear that her downfall took decades to happen. It was a mix of greed, desperation, and the endless drama of the York family. Even royal fairy tales can end with no money left in the bank.